大家好，我是阳光。前段时间我去体验了厦航的摘星奇旅，可以在飞机上吃到米其林3星餐厅泰安门的美食。还没看的同学可以点击下方的传送门。吃完之后，我心中充满了好奇：米其林主厨到底吃不吃飞机餐？牛排为什么要煮1周才能吃？今天我特地来到上海，找主厨 Stephen Stiller 聊了聊，一个手握5颗米其林星星的大厨，到底如何设计出顶级的飞机餐。The last time was during the Guangzhou shop opening, so you weren't here, and Alex weren't here, I think.
No, Alex was supporting me as well in Guangzhou.
Yeah. So I'm a good friend actually with the Hope and Sesame team in Guangzhou. I think they were doing something.
Yeah, we're working with the bar and cocktail program in Guangzhou with them together. Yeah. No, they are very creative and great expertise for everything related to bar and cocktail making.
But do you usually eat the plain food or just ignore it?
I would say 8 out of 10 I don't.
Okay, I'm the same.
and it depends really on a lot of like domestic flights, especially when I go to Guangzhou. If I fly economy, I usually skip the food because it's really nothing special, and I can have a bit better meal earlier or later. So, and if I travel internationally, if it's long distance, obviously at a point you're hungry, so you eat something. And in the end of the day, food in the plane is more like a necessary rather than an enjoyment or a pleasure. And I've been flying internationally, also a lot of business class flights and some first class flights, and even sometimes on first class the food is kind of mediocre and nothing special. And then someday the wine's better than the food.
This time I'm very impressed with what's served on the plane. Although it's a little short, so it's a very limited time frame to enjoy the meal. But aside from the limitation of the cooking tools, what's the biggest challenge like for you to envision or to design this whole menu?
Okay, in the end of the day, cooking for something like on an airplane is very different to like cooking what we do here every day. And if you prepare something for a meal for a plane, there are a lot of more things to consider, because it certainly has to be pre-prepared. And then it's just like plated or reheated, so it's all finished, cooked. So there are a lot of consideration in terms of preparation process, in terms of hygiene. A lot of things you cannot do. You cannot do raw food on the plane, as an example. And then it's certainly also you have to cater for an audience which you don't know what they like, they don't like. So it need to be like a little bit more, I don't want to say mainstream, but something what more people like to enjoy.
I see.
And so there are a lot of things need to come into consideration. It's also a little bit about the seasoning, because if on a high altitude, your taste perception is different than on normal like ground level due to the pressure, and so it's slightly different. But for me, it's really more about the preparation process. Also, if food is prepared in a catering kitchen, it's very different than what we are doing here in our kitchen every day.
So I was talking about the experience. So was Timetable only like helping out on the food, or you also provided consultation about the like when to serve or how to serve it?
We had a very intensive training here at Timetable with a team from Xiamen Air. So they brought their team of chefs here, where then my team was like really going step by step through the whole preparation process, specification about the products, specifications about the recipes, obviously, with like really detailed training, and then also tasting that they can try and understand. And then additionally, we had also some training together with the in-flight team, so the ones who are actually in the plane and need to train their teams in the individual flights, how to plate, how to serve. So I think the whole process is very important.
That's very nice. And especially when they try to drip the scallion oil on the soup, it reminds me of what we experienced, in a fine dining restaurant like Timetable. Also, the the layers of the flavors and the complexity is what I think stand out the most for me, because it really is very reminiscent of work that chefs put into in a nice restaurant. Very unlike other, even like first class plain food. They may use nice ingredients, but it's not prepared with care and attention to detail. And what's the process of designing this dish? Is it like different from how you design your dish at Italian table? I mean, aside from the considerations you were talking about, but from a flavor.
It is slightly different. We always consider who's our target audience, and so the target guest at a plane for domestic airlines is obviously local Chinese. So we need to have a taste which also matches the taste profile and the preference of eating for local guests. So we try to be not too adventurous in terms of like combinations, a little bit more classic. However, details are extremely important. When you see the first dish, the appetizer, with this platter of three individual items plus a small salad on the side, I think it's very light, it's very refreshing, but you still have different flavors. And somebody don't like some fish, there are two other items, so you can always kind of try different things in one plate. It's like almost like three small dishes in once. And this was the idea on this dish. So it's a different process. Obviously, also here in my restaurant, every day I have a team of 20 cooks and chefs who are preparing with me together every day. We are prepping every dish every day on the day of the dinner. And everything is cooked last minute. So the whole preparation process, also the thought which goes into the development of a dish, is quite different to preparing something for an airline.
I see. Thank you. Actually, the salmon, the cured salmon, is one of my favorite dish, especially among the appetizers. What's where's the idea come from? Like, if there's any.
This is very traditional. This is something really traditional. We have these kind of cured fish,
like gravlax,
in Europe already for many years. Originally from the Scandinavian countries. You have these kind of curing process in order to preserve. It's like a technique which was used in the old days when they didn't have like refrigeration all the time. And so to preserve the precious fish, it got salted, then, and to enhance the flavors, not only salt, also spices and herbs are added. So this adds another layer of flavor in the whole process. And the texture obviously is changing. And what we had to do in order to make sure it works for an airline is also to slow cook slightly the fish to make sure it's cooked and we don't have any hygienic issues, because they're also very careful at the airlines. They always have a special person who take care of the hygiene. They take probes. They're checking the level of bacteria inside every product, that there cannot be any unsafe product. So there is a slightly different process. However, we made sure in the whole preparation process to get the best flavor out of the product possible.
I think the texture when you eat it is very pleasing. It's not like cooked fish. It still retains the
exactly. So
nice
we
texture.
try to remain the moisture inside the fish, that it remains nice, tender, moist, and that you have great flavor.
Okay. A lot of the dishes were prepared using either brining or marination.
You know, the beef for the main dish. It's a very long process. And it's also kind of a special process. And this is the way we do it. Was the same we did it at Italian table. Really exactly the same. So it's the beef short rib will get marinated, brined. So we're using a special recipe for this brine with spices, with herbs, also with some salt. And then after the brining, we slow cook it. So it gets vacuum packed. So we cook it sous vide, low temperature for quite a long time.
I think they were telling me 5 days or 3 days.
The whole preparation process is almost a week, because we are marinating, brining for 4 to 5 days, depending on the size of the meat, and then the slow cooking process is up to 60 hours. And then after the slow cooking, it gets chilled down, then it gets trimmed because sometimes it's a little bit fatty, so we have to cut off or trim off a little bit the too fatty parts of the meat. And then we cut it in portion size. And then before preparation, we sear it to give a little bit of caramelization on the surface. And then at the plane, they need to reheat it. So it's a very gentle process, and also for the reheating of the meat. And with this process, with the marination, with the slow cooking, the searing, the meat remains very, very beautifully moist, but has a very special texture and also a special flavor.
Is one of the reasons behind it being you were saying you have to prepare everything beforehand, so this kind of preserves the texture.
Preserves texture. Make sure hygiene is perfect, because this is very, very important for the meat. And then also it's something which is good for reheating, because the preparation process and the final product is actually ideal for this kind of setup and scenario.
I see. Also, the duck breast is also marinated and then smoked.
It's cured, it's cured and then it's smoked.
Smoked, okay.
Yeah, it's almost like a ham. Huh? This is a little bit like a ham, like a traditional ham preparation, where you cure, you smoke, and then you air dry in order to achieve this kind of texture.
Is there anything like easier or better about cooking for like airplane food compared to the disadvantages we were going through about cooking the
in the end of the day, for something like preparing food for a plane, it's always a bit of a compromise. And since due to the whole process of preparing, delivering the food to the plane, then the very limited setup they have inside the plane to kind of reheat and prepare, the space is so small and so constrained, so there is the possibilities are very limited. I would not say there's anything better or worse. It's just like dealing with the circumstances and dealing with the possibilities, and which is obviously a bit of a challenge, but can be also an opportunity. And as you said, you enjoyed the meal.
Yes.
It can be also an opportunity to do it right and then give the guest a very good surprise and a very positive experience, which as we discussed before, usually airline food is very mediocre and very kind of you only eat it if you're really hungry. And so as a result, this can be a great opportunity for an airline to present something which gives a very positive experience to the guests.
Yes.
I haven't been on the plane yet, so I have to experience it as myself. So I want to see how they really kind of. But I'm very happy to hear, because obviously I was also a little bit scared, concerned, because they are using our name, right, and our logo and so on. And so I was a little concerned in the very beginning if they really can deliver a great experience. But when I hear it now, like firsthand, for somebody who's seen it, it's very, very positive. But right now we signed with the Xiamen Air for a period of time, so we will have another menu coming later on this year. So for this one we will have a little bit more time for the whole development and thought process. And it will be also a little bit of a learning for us, like how they can prepare, produce, and deliver the food to the planes. I'm also curious, hopefully at one point we will be able to fly internationally again. And I know that Xiamen Air is also doing long distance flights to North America. I know some are even to Europe. And I would be very curious and interested in also to see how we can implement food for the long distance flights, not only like domestically. Because this is obviously a different experience. If you're like 8-10 hours in a plane, you have way more time to enjoy a meal, and then you can really put a little bit more thought into the whole serving process, maybe even adding more options or more dishes to a menu to give like almost like an a la carte feeling. You can order some dishes, and it's a more customized experience.
I see.
Yes, we will see what we do next.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah.